Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts, SCOPA, will institute a formal inquiry into the Water and Sanitation Department. This was decided yesterday after officials from the department failed to give satisfactory responses to the questions by the members of Parliament. The Oversight Committee on the portfolio says the department is on the brink of collapse due to alleged financial irregularities. SCOPA, on the other hand, has also called for the former minister in that portfolio, Nomvula Mokonyane, to be criminally charged. The chairperson of SCOPA, Themba Godi, joins us this morning from our studios in Parliament. Mr. Godi, good morning to you. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you.
Now, let's just get your reaction first on the cabinet reshuffle, because it looks like you're not happy with the reshuffling of former Water and Sanitation Minister Nomvula Mokonyane being moved to the Department of Communications.
Yeah, look, we're not necessarily interested in personalities than we are in policies. But in this particular instance, we were saying if you look at the shambles in the Department of Water and Sanitation, the total collapse of that department, clearly the political responsibility falls on the lap of Minister Nomvula Mokonyane. And we're saying that having achieved successfully the collapse of that department, clearly disqualified her from being given any other post within cabinet, because in this very department that she's coming from, she has presided over its total collapse. And we're saying therefore that she was not deserving of still being in cabinet.
But how bad is the situation at the Department of Water and Sanitation, Mr. Godi? There's been reports of overspending on the 14 billion rand budget.
Well, look, if you have an idea of how Home Affairs once was or Public Works was, that's exactly where we're at. There's literally no department to talk of. In a practical sense, you are talking here of over expenditure of the budget. That department is literally bankrupt, to be honest. And the fact that they actually had to go to the Reserve Bank for an overdraft of over 2 billion rands comes at a time when last year, when we asked them about the huge accruals that they had, they gave us a spin. They spinned it, and the minister was there to support them. And what has now come to light is the fact that that department is dysfunctional. They have stopped all support functions to municipalities, which means your rollout of water access projects in the municipalities is going to stop because they have no money. We know that that department has a long history of poor management, but I think we have now reached a tipping point, and that is why, as SCOPA and our comrades in the portfolio committee have agreed that, you know what, let us have an inquiry. And I think by today I'll meet with Comrade Johnson, the chairperson of the portfolio committee, and we'll probably seek to meet with the House chairperson, Comrade Frolic, to say this is what we want to do and agree on the parameters and the processes so that we can actually go into the bottom of the rot, because we want those who have messed up that department to go to jail, whether they're the minister or their officials.
Yeah, and it certainly looks like the situation has been like this for quite a long time, because I remember very well that OUTA previously taken legal action against the Department of Water and Sanitation, talking about maladministration arising from the Lesotho Highlands Water Project. So the situation has been in this way for quite a long time now.
Look, the Giyani project, which was initiated as an emergency, has spiraled into a monstrosity. The initial budget, they claim, was 1.3 billion. But right now, it has spiraled to 2.5 billion. You have the installation of boreholes, where each borehole cost an average of 2 million rands. Where have you heard of such a thing? And a whole host of other things that in the past, they were able to talk their way out by always claiming that they have things under control and all these matters are being investigated. But I think the penny has dropped now. There is no department whatsoever. And we're saying in a country that is a water-stressed country, surely the management of access to water and the provision of water is a very, very strategic function that needs a strong and functional department that is strongly led. Otherwise, if you have chaos there, it means the whole country will be plunged into a crisis.
Yeah, and as you say, South Africa is a water-stressed country. I would imagine that these financial irregularities and mismanagement of funds are sort of having implications on the service delivery of water to many provinces, not just the Western Cape, but many other municipalities within the country.
Sure. I mean, many of our people have lived with the situation in the Western Cape for years. So Western Cape is nothing special relative to what poor, rural-based people have experienced. And this department was therefore playing a critical role in ensuring that there is access to water. Now, when it becomes dysfunctional itself, then it means that we have no solution to the challenges that are facing our people. That's why we say you can't therefore afford to have this kind of department dysfunctional at a time when you need it to strategically manage how this scarce water resource is shared and distributed amongst our people. And that is why, as a committee, we are committed to ensuring that there is a cleanup.
Yeah, so you say you will meet with the chairperson to institute that inquiry, but let's talk about the hearing that was scheduled yesterday. It couldn't go ahead. It had to be cut short because the department officials could not provide answers to SCOPA, of course. Are you worried, Themba Godi, because this is happening for the third time that the officials are appearing before the committee and they are unable to answer your questions?
Well, that is why we have felt, my sister, that the only route now is to do an inquiry. As you correctly point out, this was the third meeting, and we still got generalized answers. And yet the reason we're having this third meeting was basically to go into details. If you say the boreholes costed you 2 million rands, then break it down for us and say drilling, electrification, purification, piping, security, so that we have an idea. If you say you had overruns from 1.3 billion to 2.5 billion, what is it that led to, to the budget overruns? Can you break it down so that we have a sense of where the problem was? Because unless you do that, then as Parliament, we're not doing oversight. I mean, it's some storytelling time. And I don't think, especially us in SCOPA, we don't deal with generalities. We want specifics. We want details. We are talking about money. We want figures, and these figures being attached to a particular function that they were paid for. So when officials could not tell us that, then we realized we're playing.
All right. We have to leave it at that due to time constraints, but thank you so much to Themba Godi. He is a SCOPA chairperson, talking to us about what happened yesterday in Parliament, where the Department of Water and Sanitation officials appeared before the committee, but they could not provide answers to the questions posed. We're taking a quick ad break here on Morning Live, and then we're off to Sandton.